Can you guess who would win in a street fight between Steven Seagal and Bolo Yeung? This would undoubtedly be one of the most spectacular fights the world has ever seen. Seagal, with his lethal Aikido moves, would battle for a sweet victory against the brutal techniques of Kung Fu mastered by Yeung. However, before jumping to conclusions about who would emerge victorious in this street fight, we will showcase some highlights from the careers of these two legendary action actors. To begin, let's focus on the Aikido master, Seagal. In this instance, Seagal faces off against none other than the legendary boxer, Mike Tyson. So, how thrilling is this fight? The fight between Seagal and Tyson begins when a woman attempts to attack the legendary boxer. As Tyson prepares to retaliate, Seagal boldly intervenes. Inevitably, a fight ensues. As you can see, Seagal dominates the match with mesmerizing techniques from his Aikido discipline. Although Tyson manages to land a single hit, Seagal quickly regains control. The fight becomes increasingly intense as Seagal turns Tyson's attacks into advantages for himself. When Tyson tries to strike again, Seagal skillfully dodges the attack with ease. In fact, Seagal's well-placed kick eventually sends Tyson tumbling onto a table. However, you might feel unsatisfied since that fight only took place in a movie. So this time, you'll witness Seagal fighting for real, without any choreography. In a sparring session, Seagal effortlessly locks his opponent using his Aikido techniques, even sending them tumbling to the ground. What's even more impressive is that this doesn't happen just once, but multiple times. His opponents are unable to land even a single hit on him. The highlight is when Seagal takes on two Aikido fighters at once. Yet again, the two fighters are no match for a legend like Seagal. With his deadly and intricate techniques, Seagal easily brings his opponents to their knees in pain. This certainly showcases the incredible skills of a figure like Seagal. Even more impressive is that in his younger days, Seagal's sparring sessions became the ultimate learning experience for Aikido students in training halls. With his signature techniques, he left his opponents in agony. Take this moment, for example, where Seagal faces another Aikido fighter. It's clear that he barely needs any effort or energy to overpower his opponent. Feeling that the opponent was too easy, he asked for a new challenger. But once again, Seagal remains unmatched in the sparring session. Still unsatisfied with the level of opposition, Seagal finally requests to be attacked by both opponents simultaneously. What happens next? Seagal remains undefeated. The pinnacle of his demonstration is when Seagal faces 4 fighters at once, and yet none of his 4 opponents can put up a significant challenge against him. Bolo Yeung is no less impressive, especially in this fight, where Bolo Yeung faces off against a man with a fairly large build. At first, the two attack each other using wooden sticks. However, to many observers, it quickly becomes clear that Bolo Yeung has the upper hand. Even so, the fight takes a surprising turn shortly afterward. As Bolo Yeung deflects an attack from his opponent, the wooden stick unexpectedly turns into a sword, injuring Bolo Yeung. Despite this setback, Bolo Yeung refuses to give up. He fights back with a series of attacks that force his opponent into retreat. Eventually, Bolo Yeung's relentless strikes leave his opponent unable to continue fighting. The excitement continues when Bolo Yeung faces a figure named Matthias Hughes in a film. So, how thrilling is this encounter? When they first meet, Bolo Yeung immediately launches an attack, igniting an unavoidable battle between the two. In this fight, they appear evenly matched. Both Bolo Yeung and Hughes land successful strikes, making the clash increasingly intense. After a series of exchanges, Hughes finds himself cornered by Bolo Yeung's assaults. As you can see, Bolo Yeung seizes the advantage by delivering multiple kicks and punches.
Emergency supplies contained within. Repeat, sufficient time now exists for travel to safety.
Realizing he's cornered, Hughes attempts to escape from Bolo Yeung. However, Bolo Yeung anticipates his opponent's move and discovers Hughes hiding behind a door. In a dramatic moment, Bolo Yeung unleashes his powerful internal strike through the door, striking Hughes.
But now, you are nothing.
But if you want to witness a real fight involving Bolo Yeung, this moment might provide the answer. In this video, Bolo Yeung faces off directly against Samuel Walls. So, how does the fight play out? At the start of the fight, Walls appears highly aggressive in the ring, forcing Bolo Yeung to retreat and block his opponent's relentless attacks. Not wanting to be outdone, Bolo Yeung counters with his own attacks, eventually knocking Walls to the ground. In the end, a lethal kick from Bolo Yeung leaves Walls unable to continue the fight. So, with the action showcased above, who would emerge as the victor? Would it be Seagal with his Aikido or Bolo Yeung with his Kung Fu? Some experts suggest that in a real street fight, the outcome would depend heavily on several factors, including tactics, physical condition, and the ability to adapt to the situation. In this context, Steven Seagal might have a slight advantage due to his expertise in Aikido, which emphasizes mastering techniques, avoiding attacks, and controlling the opponent without relying too much on brute strength. However, if the fight leaned more toward a raw physical brawl involving strength and endurance, Bolo Yeung, with his large and powerful physique, might have the upper hand. Ultimately, the result would depend on the fight's dynamics and the specific circumstances. That said, in the context of films or their on-screen personas, both are incredibly formidable fighters, and the outcome could vary depending on the narrative being portrayed.